Well, welcome everybody. We're getting kind of that little surge of everybody as they're joining as Louise got the new link going. So bear with us for a moment. There were some of us who were in the meeting previously. So we were just sending out in the chat just who you are and where you are from, because it's kind of fun to see where everybody is. So if you want to put that in the chat, please feel free to do so, even if you did that last time when you were in the meeting originally. So everybody can see. That is always kind of a fun starting off. Awesome. San Antonio, Texas, great. We were talking about the weather. Hello again in Corvallis. Great to have you guys. And Louise, it looks like we've got a good number of people here. You let me know when you want me to go ahead and get started, or if you think there's some folks still troubleshooting.
I think you could probably start now.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Well, hello to everybody. Thank you for putting where you are in the chat. It's great to have everybody and see all of these lovely faces. And also thank you to everybody for the patience and adaptability with technology. So good work on making it through that. And it looks like good, everybody's getting in. Awesome. So we just wanted to welcome everybody here and just make sure that you're all can see and hear okay. So it looks like that's all going well. And I think I'm sort of waiting to see if I saw the number of people joining reach kind of a good plateau there, but we'll just get started and people will join as they go overall. So overall, we wanted to just welcome everybody to the ORCA meeting. So this is just a gathering for all of us from the Oregon Family Medicine residencies, and we're going to go through and just have a quick overview of each of the residency programs, and we're just super excited to have all of you joining us here. And I think we just wanted to say thank you also. This is like the third time that we've had a virtual recruiting event across all of Oregon's family medicine residency programs. So a thank you to Louise and the Oregon Academy of Family Physicians, who are the home base for Oregon Residency Collaborative Alliance. So thanks for organizing and guiding the event and troubleshooting the technology when it happens. So just wanted to say thanks to you guys for being interested in family medicine in Oregon. Again, we keep hitting challenging times, and so we're all getting used to virtual recruiting. And so as we get used to all of that, we also still want to just acknowledge that we used to have other ways of doing this. And so getting to move through the challenges is an important thing to just kind of pause and acknowledge. So we've had COVID variants, we've had wildfires, we've had drought, we have our social justice issues that continue. And then in family medicine, of course, we're always still struggling with the continued high volumes in our hospitals and then the turnover in our healthcare workforce. So lots of issues that we're facing. And within family medicine here in Oregon, we really want to recognize that we are stronger when we're in this together, and we are also much more empowered and inspired when we recognize the values that underpin family medicine. And so across all of our family medicine residency programs, we are sometimes competing to recruit each of you as students and applicants to our programs. But when we are thinking about family medicine in Oregon, this is when we all come together and we actually are all on the same page, wanting to tell you how exciting it is to be in family medicine in Oregon, and how much we want to share with you the opportunities that we have. And we know that by working together, we just make family medicine stronger, and we can show you how Oregon is just a really special place for family medicine. So we're up to almost 9 residencies in the Oregon Family Medicine Collaborative. So we've got Providence, Milwaukee with Justin Osborne as our program director, and I see Justin here today. We've got the Providence Hood River Rural Program with Bob Gobo as our program director. We have the Samaritan Family Medicine residencies in Corvallis, as well as the Newport Rural Training Track. And John Edwards is our program director, talking about both of those. And then we have the Roseburg Family Medicine residency with Heidi Beery as the program director, and the OHSU Portland Family Medicine residency with Joe Scaraya as our program director, and a new rural training track that's starting as an offshoot of the OHSU program with Janelle Lewis as the program director there. And then the OHSU Hillsborough Family Medicine residency with Kay Nordling as the program director. And then I'm the program director for OHSU's Cascades East Family Medicine residency here in Klamath Falls. So just a great array of residency programs across Oregon. And our hope for tonight is you get just a little bit of an intro to each of these programs. So we're going to do a little 15-minute intro. And then throughout the week, each program will have scheduled offerings to give you that more in-depth look at what we all have to offer. And I really hope that you can kind of come away with seeing like the strength and the diversity of training options across Oregon. We've got university-based programs, we have community-based programs, we have rural training tracks, we have 3-year rurally located programs where all 3 years are in one spot, and we have brand new programs as well as long-established residencies. So just a really great array and breadth. And I think you're just going to see the common culture of family medicine in Oregon, that it's a really special place. Different regions of the country have really different cultures around primary care and specialty care. And Oregon is a place where family medicine is thriving, where seeing family doctors with a comprehensive scope of practice, doing maternity care, being advocates for their medical communities, doing lots of procedures, being respected leaders across the state. That's not something you see in all places. And I think you will get to see that tonight and across our week, and you're going to get to really see that this is a place where family doctors are a really important part of our healthcare system and the health of our communities. And don't underestimate the impact that has on your training and what you do with your future career by training in a place where that occurs. So I hope you'll get to see that. And I hope that whatever version of family medicine you are hoping for in your training and career, that you'll find a fit in one of our family medicine residencies. So, so thanks for joining us tonight and throughout the week. And like I said before, we're going to have our little sort of 15-minute sessions. And Louise, I'm sure that there's some ground rules or things that you want us to talk about as well. Questions in the chat, those sorts of things as well.
Some of the ground rules are, as you guys all know, this event tonight is required to be able to go to the individual events during the week. I will be sending out emails the night before. Tonight I'll send out emails that will give links to Monday's sessions. Tomorrow night I'll send out emails with links to Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Wednesday night to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you should get all of those. I'm really sorry about the problems before. We had to upgrade my Zoom account so that I would have availability to have enough people on here. I'm sorry about that. And yeah, if you have questions during the week, just shoot me an email. And we're looking forward to having all of you here. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, let's see. I think the other thing that I would love from you is if I get to start things off with Cascades East, can you give me participation to or permission to share my screen so I can show people some beautiful slides? More technology.
Joyce, you are a co-host now.
Awesome. That sounds great. Okay. So let me get that in there. All righty, let's see. Can you give me a thumbs up if you folks are seeing my slides? Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Just want to tell you a little bit about Cascades East Family Medicine Residency. And I always love showing pretty pictures as I go along. And so that is something that we will try to do as I go through. So we're just going to give you a really, really quick overview of some of the highlights of our residency program here. And then I've got a couple of amazing residents joining me tonight. So Jared Schaefer and Phoebe Hughes are on. So thank you guys to Jared and Phoebe for being here and for surviving the technical difficulties as well. This is Upper Klamath Lake. Isn't that gorgeous? And so I also want to put a plug in for joining us on Wednesday when we do our program overview. And then we have a little point of care ultrasound intro on Thursday as well. So some fun things for our program. Overall, so just want to tell you, sort of who we are. Cascades East Family Medicine Residency is a program located in Klamath Falls, Oregon. We're part of OHSU, and this is our mission to educate family doctors to deliver innovative, comprehensive care and serve our communities as leaders in rural family medicine. And this is a view from the top of Mount McLaughlin, which is the mountain we can see from Klamath Falls, looking out over Upper Klamath Lake, which is the lake I showed you just a few minutes ago. And this is the community we serve. We serve a really large geographic area and have this focus on family medicine. So like I mentioned, there are all sorts of different residency programs in Oregon. There are 4-year residencies and 3-year residencies. We are a 3-year residency program. We are university administered by OHSU and then community-based in the rural community of Klamath Falls. We all 3 years are here in Klamath Falls, and we have 8 residents per class, so a total of 24. If you have no idea where Klamath Falls is, then there's my little heart here on the map. And so the Cascade Mountain Range runs right up and down here, and Crater Lake is right in the middle there, and there's that Upper Klamath Lake, and here's Klamath Falls. So I like to explain to people that means we are on the sunny side of the mountains in Oregon. So depending upon your familiarity with Oregon, that's lovely. And I have sunshine out my window right now. And then the other reason we're here is to just really address a lot of the unmet primary care needs in Klamath Falls. The Klamath Basin is an area that still has significant health disparities. And when we talk about health equity, one of the big things that we really emphasize is the rural mortality penalty, that in the United States, all of the health disparities that we often talk about around race, education, ethnicity, all of those are broadened and widened as a gap when you put people in a rural community. And so addressing the health disparities in a rural area is partly being here and working to address those unmet needs and partnering with our communities to think about health in that place-based way that you can when you're connected to a community and grounded in our rural areas. And then we're super proud of our graduate outcomes. We have almost 80% of people entering rural practice. We have a really broad scope of practice where people are doing inpatient work and maternity care and going all over. And a beautiful new health center. This is our current 2nd-year class, standing in front of our beautiful clinic here in Klamath Falls. And we're connected with Sky Lakes Medical Center, so all of our rotations and things are here as well. And then we really talk a lot about comprehensive scope of practice. And this is some of our folks doing point of care ultrasound in one of our hospital rooms. And we have a lot of maternity care, inpatient medicine, procedures. We really do that comprehensive scope of primary care, trying to meet as much of our patients' needs in the ambulatory setting as you can. Doing MAT, doing treatment of hepatitis C, doing gender affirming care, doing full ambulatory procedures, skin lesions, all of those things. And then also delivering care in these lots of different settings across inpatient care, open ICU, taking care of children, all of those things. So, so that's the version we really want people to train and take into their communities. Got some fun educational highlights that we're going to share more about when we do our more in-depth session on Wednesday. And so we'll tell you more about wilderness medicine. We're going to show you a little bit about our wilderness medicine curriculum. We're going to talk more about our point of care ultrasound training on Thursday. Talk about reproductive health, which is a really important issue right now, and also one that's important here in Oregon, where lots of people are now coming from outside to states like Oregon, where reproductive health is still full spectrum. And then also being able to talk about what that means in a rural area and how we get training for our residents. We have a trauma track for residents that are working on broadening that emergency scope of practice. So you may have heard of OB and maternity care deserts, places where patients can't get access to OB providers. There are also emergency deserts where people can't get access to emergency care and trauma care. We have frontier rotations and daily learning conferences and workshops. And so there's that beautiful picture again, and some of the highlights. So visit our website, come and talk to us more on Wednesday. And then I also know that you don't want to just hear from me. So I want to stop sharing my screen for a minute and turn it over to one of our chief residents, Jared Schaefer, and Phoebe Hughes, one of our second-year residents, and have them just tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a resident in our program.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so my name is Jared Schaefer. Like Joyce said, I'm one of the third-year residents. I'm from small town south of Portland in Oregon. And so I grew up on a Christmas tree farm. I always knew that I wanted to live rurally. And what drew me to Cascades East was the opportunity to train within the full scope of family medicine. And, there are some things that ultimately, people aren't going to do. Well, some people do everything. We've had recent graduates do everything, but to really get strong training throughout the full scope. And I feel like we definitely, I've been exposed to that, and it's been awesome. And then also the community of our program, I was able to do a 4-week rotation as a sub-I, which I know is a lot harder to access nowadays since COVID, but that really just, my family was so welcomed. I have 2 little girls, and to experience that, and that's what made me choose Cascades East. And certainly we really enjoy our time living in Klamath Falls, and yeah, we'd love you to come in a couple days and hear a little bit more about our program. I'll pass it over to Phoebe.
Hi, y'all. My name's Phoebe. As Jared said, and Joyce, I am a second year at Cascades East. I am originally from South Florida, where my family is still over on the East Coast. I grew up basically understanding that family medicine was a referral system, large amounts of burnout, low job satisfaction, until I started working with really underserved populations that basically function as rural health in Miami, and how to navigate systems to get people who are so disadvantaged the proper amount of care. And that's what drew me to pursuing a career in rural family medicine. I thought it was a unique kind of combination of people who are really disadvantaged with a lot of, I would say, like-minded individuals working towards trying to impact healthcare. I think that a lot of people are really driven to this field. And so it's nice to be surrounded by people who also love and adore family medicine and love and adore our patient populations. And I really felt that at Cascades East when I interviewed here. It's a super strong academic program, but it's also strong in just personality and communication between residents, and love between residents, and love between faculty and residents. And so we have really great bonds with not only our community, but each other. And so that's what I think is great about this program.
Thanks, Phoebe. I like when I was hearing both of you talk, I was also thinking specifically of Jared, when you were here as a medical student, I remember that it was actually my kids were like just totally loved playing with Jared's little daughter, who was like, you know, a toddler at the time. And my kids kept asking me if Jared was going to come to residency in Klamath Falls, like afterwards. I'd be like, he was so nice. Are you going to recruit him? And so Jared now, you know, has them babysit and things like that. But it, you know, it is that kind of fun feel, and that is part of, like, I think being a strong community together. So yeah.
I also came from across the country. I didn't get to do sub-Is. I didn't get to visit even Klamath Falls, and going from a city of 3 million to 20,000 was a bit of a change, but don't be afraid to jump all in, even through virtual recruitment.
Phoebe, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I'm sure that's on so many people's minds right now, is how did you feel like you could take a look at a rural community like Klamath Falls and move across the country in a virtual interview environment?
Yeah, it was difficult, but I think that if you're like, you will get as much of a true look at a program and the people through Zoom as you would in person. I think everybody likes to get, you know, a little bit of the wine and dine stuff, but the true thing of what makes a program is the people who are working there, and whether they will support you, and you can get that through Zoom equally.
That's awesome. And Phoebe, you're doing the trauma track, right? What made you pick that?
The trauma track is interesting because if you're working in really isolated communities, often you are the ER doc on call, you are the family medicine, the hospitalist on call, you are the obstetrician on call, all at the same time. And so just being able to triage and deal with the most acute problems, anything from, you know, a kid with a cold to somebody with massive trauma, would be, you know, the kind of skill set that this residency program can prepare you for. I love trauma surgery in med school, and I love that we get to do some of those skills here too. It's a good mix of practice.
Awesome. Well, I'm trying to be respectful of time, and I want to make sure that I put a last plug in to visit us again on Wednesday, because we're going to have a little bit of time where we go through all of our different curricular areas, you know, talk about each of those areas. We can answer some of your questions more fully. And thank you to those who sent me chat messages. I'll get to those here in just a sec. And but hopefully we can see you all on Wednesday and on Thursday again, also for our point of care ultrasound training with Brandon Chase, one of our faculty members who specializes in that. He does a great job of doing POCUS in a Zoom environment as well. And so that'll be really fun. And I will turn it over to, I think, Dr. Edwards with the Samaritan Family Medicine Residency.
All right. Well, thanks, Joyce. I appreciate it. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. Let's see, moving chat bar into one place. Can everybody see the screen? I can only see Joyce and Luis, so if you can give me a thumbs up, that'd be sweet. All right, cool. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for spending a couple hours with us on a Sunday night, and I appreciate that. Today was kind of a cool day for me. My daughter turned 20, and so I had a chance to spend a little time with my daughter as she's no longer a teenager, and then I get to spend the evening with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Samaritan Family Medicine Residency. This is the residents and the faculty for our program. It was taken in the PD Arboretum, which is just located about 3 miles from the hospital. And one of the interesting things about where we're located is we have about 250 miles of trails that are all state-owned, associated with Oregon State University, which means that unless they're actively researching something or actively logging, we have access to beautiful wilderness within a short hike of the hospital. So that's where we took the picture. So who are we? Today, I'm going to take the 15-minute slots we have for two programs, kind of conjoin them together into one presentation, and I'll talk about both programs. And it won't take 30 minutes. So that's my goal, is to be respectful of everybody's time. So we are the Samaritan Family Medicine Residencies. We have one residency in Corvallis, who we're going to talk about first. And then we'll talk about our new rural training program, which we started our first year of interns this last summer. The photo you see there is our intern class. So there are 12 interns that started with us this summer between the two programs. So here you can see the mission of our residency program. It's aligned with the health system mission. And what we're trying to do is improve the overall health and well-being of the communities that we serve. So one of the things that is important about us is really thinking about our communities. Who are our communities? What are the healthcare needs that they have? How can we go ahead and outreach to the underserved? How can we prepare our residents for the future so that they can actually have the skills to be able to serve these communities? And then our motto is that we're training leaders to affect positive change in the environment around them. And so I spent about 25 years in the military. I had the opportunity to be in all sorts of different kind of leadership roles. And one of the things, and observe different kinds of leaders. And in the process of both training to become a leader, watching the people around me, I started realizing that just because you've been trained to be a leader, it doesn't say anything about your outcomes. It doesn't say that you're having a positive effect. In fact, many leaders actually have negative effects. And so what we wanted as our motto is to train leaders to affect positive change in the environment around them. And we intentionally decided to make the environment relatively vague. Partially because we want you to decide what environment that you want to affect positive change on. Right now, I have former residency graduates that are working in the White House Medical Unit, working on huge projects and affecting change in massive ways. I also have residents that have decided that for them, they really want to affect change on their panel of patients, their MA and their front office staff in a direct primary care type clinic. And so what we want to do is recognize that physicians are leaders. We want you to affect positive change, and we want you to be prepared to be able to affect that change in the environment that you choose. So the photos you see below us are kind of interesting. It's our 9 graduates that we had for this last summer. The photo on the left is about 4 days after they started residency. And the photo on the right was at graduation. And so all 9 of them did a spectacular job. With this particular class, 5 of the folks that graduated elected to stay at Samaritan. The culture of the program is so aligned with the overall organization that 8 of the 9 actually applied to stay at Samaritan. One didn't apply because she went on to an OB fellowship, and we couldn't accommodate her desires. And so she's in an OB fellowship in Michigan right now. But 8 applied to be with us. And then 5 of them decided that they're going to go ahead and stay. A couple of them had family obligations in other places. And so we're really excited about being able to support them to go where they needed to go. So where in the heck is Corvallis, Oregon? For those of you that are from elsewhere, the red outlines Corvallis. As Joyce was saying, Klamath Falls is down here. Portland's up here. That's where a lot of the programs you're going to hear from today. The Roseburg program's down in there. And then we have these 3 stars right across the middle of the state. And so the Cascade Mountain Range is located in the green on the right. The Coast Range is located on the left. The 2 stars that you see kind of in the middle are the core program. They're located out of Corvallis and Lebanon, which we'll talk about in a second. And then Newport is our new rural training program. And the hospital is 500 yards from the Pacific Ocean. So the waiting room for the patients overlooks the Pacific Ocean and the Yaquina Bridge, which we'll show you some pictures of here in just a second. The distance from Newport to Corvallis is about 45 miles or so. It takes about an hour to get from Corvallis over to Newport. And it's an absolutely beautiful drive. I really enjoy going out there. And plus that the seafood's good in Newport. So whenever I get a chance to go out to Newport, I enjoy the beautiful vistas, but also enjoy the food. So in terms of program leadership, as I mentioned, that right now I'm the program director for both programs. Mary Wonderly is my site director for the Lebanon site, and we'll kind of talk what that means here in just a second. She is a full spectrum family physician that's been doing rural maternity care for longer than she will let me say. But she delivers babies and she's in the hospital and she pulls inpatient shifts and all that sort of stuff. And then Dr. McQuillan is our site director here in Corvallis, and then Dr. Magna is out at our Newport site, and I see he's on the call today and he can wave at everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the Corvallis program first. So the Corvallis program is a program that has a history being associated with the American Osteopathic Association. We were a DO program with AOA accreditation. We merged into the ACGME about 7 years ago, and then got our full continued accreditation in 2018. We're a larger program. We have 9 residents per year. And then those residents see their continuity clinics in 2 different locations. So in Corvallis is our bigger site. We have 6 residents per year. And then Lebanon's our smaller rural hospital. It's a critical access hospital with federal rural designation. And that's where 3 residents per year train in their continuity clinic. We believe very strongly that even though we have multiple continuity clinics, that we are one program resourced as a single entity. And so we do as much as we possibly can together. All of our didactics are together, our meetings are together. Our faculty rotates around the sites to make sure that we have a good diffusion of people throughout the entire residency program. So for the Corvallis program, most of the rotations are completed at Good Samaritan Regional Medical Center, which is a level 2 trauma center here in Corvallis. And we'll talk a little bit about the inpatient team structure, probably more extensively tomorrow during our sessions and on Thursday. So we have 4 sessions coming up, 2 for the core program, 2 for the rural program. They're on Monday and on Thursday. And we'll talk more about the inpatient stuff during those sessions. So one of the things that we're pretty proud of is that we have protected time every Wednesday. So from 1 o'clock until 5:30, it is residency associated time. It belongs to me as the program director. So then the question is, what do we do at that time? Sometimes we do cohort building. We go on hikes. Instead of doing didactics or whatever else, I tell the hospital that my residents are being pulled from all other obligations, and we go for a hike. The day before Thanksgiving, we go bowling. How we ended up doing that, I'm not 100% sure. But, we go bowling as a group and have a big Thanksgiving party at the local bowling alley the day before Thanksgiving. Generally, we're doing didactics, which are kind of a standard residency associated didactics. 3 times a year, we do high fidelity simulations. We do a pediatric sim, an adult simulation, and then what you see on the right there is Claire, who's one of our former graduates, doing an obstetrical simulation. We as a program have purchased 2 of the Noels, which are the high fidelity maternity simulators. So we actually own 2 of those now. The hospital system itself owns a bunch of the high fidelity simulators, SimMan and all that sort of jazz. And then about 4 times a year, we do other workshops. We do OMT workshops, which are a lot of fun, where the osteopathic physicians teach the allopathic physicians how to do musculoskeletal medicine. We do sports medicine workshops. What we see here is a suture workshop that we're hosting. The senior residents are teaching the junior residents how to do suturing. We try to do as much of the flipped classroom as we possibly can, and especially now that we're kind of getting past the total online didactics back into things in person. We're doing a lot more of the flipped classroom, which we really enjoy. We want things to be as hands-on as possible. Couple of things that we really focus on is resiliency in faculty and resident wellness. The first 2 days of residency are spent in a developing and implementing an outward mindset course. I think we're the only program in the nation that I know of that does that, and that it helps us to establish the culture of the program, creates a common vernacular, and allows us to problem solve. The other thing that we do is the residency hosts 2 resident retreats per year. We have one in August. So it's right after the interns start, and we have the opportunity to kind of cohort build and bring them into the residency program. And then we do another one that's in February. So the first one is usually associated with fun in the sun, and the other one's associated with snowfall. It's located on the eastern side of Oregon. And usually involves some sort of hiking, skiing, snowshoeing, sledding, all that sort of jazz. These are resident-only retreats because we really believe in building the cohort. The curriculum itself, one of the things that I've learned along the way is that you got to learn how to crawl before you can walk, before you can run. And so we intentionally create our curriculum in a way that it is progressive and that the experiences along the way build on each other. One of the things that we've really discovered is that sometimes you put somebody into a opportunity or a training event or onto a rotation for which they're not prepared. And rather than really engaging in the rotation or the experience, they kind of stand back frozen and they watch rather than engage. So we have rebuilt our whole entire curriculum to ensure that it's progressive. So what is the deal with Corvallis and Lebanon? So Corvallis is associated with Oregon State University. It's a Pac-12 town. It is designated as one of the best university towns in the Pac-12, which is kind of cool. We serve a large underserved population. And so about 1/3 of our population is Medicare eligible. We have a large LGBTQ+ population, and we do a lot of gender affirming care within our clinic. But at the same time, we also have the highest educational density in the state of Oregon. And so what's really interesting in clinic is you may have a professor from Oregon State or a grad student usually who is getting ready to go and defend a paper or a thesis or whatever at an international setting. And we're taking care of them. And then the very next patient is homeless. And we're dealing with social determinants of health, et cetera. So Corvallis is a pretty fun place to live. It's a town of about 56,000 people. Lebanon is about 18 miles from Corvallis. It is a rural town. It has federal rural designation for the hospital as a critical access hospital. It has about 13,000 people, and unfortunately, it's associated with lumber and timber. And about 20 years ago, they had issues associated with the spotted owl, and most of their mills and their largest plywood mill on the West Coast closed down. And unfortunately, we have a whole lot of people that need a whole lot of resources as a result of the financial depression that's occurred in that town. And we take care of them. It's a great and well-resourced clinic to work out of and a lot of fun. So we got 2 different towns, 2 different continuity clinics for the core program that we work out of. So for Newport, this is looking at the Yaquina Bay and looking at the bridge. You can see the bridge from the waiting room of the hospital, of the clinic. The new rural program is what's called a 1-2 program. So in your first year, when you match into this particular program, you spend your first year in Corvallis with the core program. Then you move out to Newport and you'll live in Newport for the next 2 years. The hospital in Newport is now 3 years old, and it was specifically built to have a residency program in the clinic out there. And so it's a beautiful hospital. It's got lots of resources. One of the cool things, which is a distinction with that particular hospital, is that the hospital itself is owned by the people of Newport. They created a hospital district, and they created a bond measure. And so the hospital building and the hospital grounds are owned by the people. And Samaritan has the privilege of being able to provide care to the people in their own building. And so when you start thinking about it in those terms, the connection that the Newport Hospital has to the community is absolutely fantastic. In terms of the curriculum, it's an embedded longitudinal curriculum. It's really similar to the core program, but because of the fact that there's a little bit fewer resources out there in Newport than there are at a level 2 trauma center, we have created more of a longitudinal experience, which I think is going to be great. We're also associated for our community programs associated with the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz. And that's where we're going to be doing a lot of our community medicine in a Indian Health Service clinic that has got a federal FQHC designation. And as you can imagine, doing longitudinal community medicine in a well-resourced clinic to a population that has a lot of needs. I mean, there's a lot of alcohol, a lot of trauma, a lot of drug abuse, all that sort of jazz, and they've got the resources to take care of folks. And it's a great place for our residents to learn. So it's a core rotation for the Newport program. Because of distance, it's an elective rotation for the core program. It's 1 hour and 5 minutes away from the core program, and all the program directors know what that means. So here's the new hospital. And those are the 12 interns. The ones in the front, the 3 in the front, like to be referred to as our coasties, because they're in the rural program on the coast. The residents in the back are the core program residents, bowing down to the 3 coasties. Things we're working on right now, community engagement. Now that COVID is become stabilized a little bit in our communities, we're able to do a lot more outreach. Our residents are now supporting multiple high schools, football teams and other sports teams. We're working with the fire department in the city of Corvallis in order to do spine boarding exercises, et cetera, which is a lot of fun. We're working on a fair amount of the diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of the big things that we're working on is gender affirming care and support of our LGBTQ plus populations in PrEP. And so some of the outreach that we're doing is associated with that. We've just created a sports medicine area of concentration. We have 3 of our current senior residents that are very interested in doing sports fellowships. We're in a town with a Pac-12 school, and the athletic medicine for Oregon State University is actually provided by Samaritan. And we are the contracted entity for all of the sports medicine for Oregon State. And so we're in the process of creating that. We've created the area of concentration, and we're working on a full track in sports medicine, which is a lot of fun. And so our residents are having a really good time working with both high school and college athletes. And then, of course, we're trying to keep our graduates in our healthcare system. Part of the reason why we created that Newport program is that right now the coast has 40% of the physicians necessary to take care of the population out there, and we're trying to see if we can help them with that. So, why us? The programs in Oregon are fantastic programs. We're about to have 9 of them. They are all absolutely fantastic programs. We're similar in a lot of ways, and we're a little different than others. As Joyce was talking about, it's a fantastic place to live, unparalleled beauty. We're all engaged in our communities. And we have a different approach in terms of mindset and support within the program that we're really proud of. Applications, we get these questions all the time, so I decided to put these out. I saw there were a couple of these questions in the chat. So for our hospital and our programs, all applicants need to be reviewed through ERIS. We have cutoff filters, and I'll talk more about those on Monday and Thursday. If you feel like you fall outside of typical cutoff filters, please just send me an email directly. And if you send me an email, I review your application in ERIS. All of our interviews this year are going to be conducted virtually. We're going to have a couple of in-person second looks after our rank order list is created. It is for you to be able to see our community, and it won't have anything to do with the actual our ranking of you. Our hospital can't sponsor or accept H1 or J1 visas. That's often a question I get. And so just be aware that that's beyond my control. Here's the dates and times for the upcoming sessions for both Corvallis and for Newport. Again, it's Monday and Thursday. We've got one session each on both of those days. And that is the Yaquina Lighthouse, which can be seen from the clinic looking over the Pacific Ocean. So, and with that, I think I have covered everything I wanted to cover today. Anybody have any quick questions, or do we want to go ahead and save those for our individual sessions on Monday and Thursday? All right, I will turn it over to our next speaker.
Thanks, John. That's me, Kay Nordling. I'm the program director in Hillsborough, and I'm joined today by Esteban Garza, our wonderful second-year resident. Louise, are we all good to share our screen?
Kay, you are a co-host. You are all set. Would you
I'm a
like-
co-host. I feel like I need one of those like long, skinny microphones. Like, hold on, let me not ad-lib too much here. All right, so I also talk to myself while I do this, so my children are behind me laughing at me. Okay. Let me share here. Almost there. It turns out I have a lot of windows open, so let me see. Here we go. Thank you for your patience. Let me convert this to a full screen. Okay. So Hillsborough is located just 20 miles west of Portland. We are a brand new program. We opened in July 2021 and are part of the OHSU family of family medicine residency. So you had a chance to hear from Joyce, and I always put a plug in for Joyce's website. She's got the most awesome website for her residency program. So I encourage you to take a look at that. We're cousins of Joyce up here in Hillsborough, and are just 15 months old now. So we have 2 classes of 8, and we will be recruiting a 3rd class this year, and which will complete our complement. We are a 3-year program located in Hillsborough, which is an interesting town because city. It's the 5th largest city in Oregon, but it gets rural really quick. And so we're part of the Silicon Forest. So in Hillsborough, you have big computer meccas like Intel and Genentech and Leica Studios. Nike's just next door. But if you go to the west, it turns rural real fast, and we enter the Willamette Valley of wineries. And so we have an interesting blend of patients who come see us, some of whom even drive in from the coast. Our residents as we thought about what we would want or what we would need in our classes of residents to help launch a successful new residency, we really were looking for people who wanted to be pioneers, who were interested in, maybe they had started a program of their own in medical school or a club. Maybe they had like giving feedback and helped kind of crafting things. So we paid close attention. We'll do again as we went through our applications to look for people who are really inspired and motivated to come help us launch this program. And we were very fortunate to have Esteban come join us in our very first class. So I'm going to put him on the spot a bit and just have him talk a bit about some of his classmates, as well as our interns, who all form a pretty cohesive unit here in Hillsborough. Esteban, are you ready to chime in?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Dr. Nordling. Yeah, I think one of the strengths of our program is how close-knit we are, especially kind of having to be pioneers, like Dr. Norling said. It takes a lot of hard work and being on the same page. And so because of that, I really can't speak highly enough of my co-interns. We're a great cohesive group, and we were definitely looking, when we're thinking about the next intern class that we're looking for, things we're looking for are, again, that pioneer spirit, but also team player, right? I think that's something that really shines with our new interns as well. When they came in, everybody is willing to be there for each other, is willing to help each other. And I think that culture that we've created with these first two classes has been really awesome and really supportive. And it's been a really great 2 years so far. We have, as you can see, kind of a good mix of men, women, diversity, all the things. I think we really like that. We really thrive on that. When we're thinking about diversity, we think about wanting to serve the community of Hillsborough, and the community of Hillsborough is very diverse. And so something that we really have been trying to do. Oh my gosh, and I'm already going into Dr. Norden's side, so I'm going to let her take it, and then I'll jump in at the end here. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. But you're right. We wanted to welcome a class that is interested in working with a diverse community and really create a space that feels welcoming for all. And because our patients deserve it. And Washington County is the most diverse community or county in Oregon. About a quarter of our patients in Hillsborough identify as Latinx. As a result, we do offer, for those of our residents who don't speak Spanish, if they want, we pay for an online Spanish language course through a local college for them, and build in time during one of their rotations so they can actually engage with some of those modules. We send our residents out to work with the Salud Van, which is an outreach van that's been going for over 20 plus years to take care of the vineyard workers in the region. We also have residents involved not only with our Hillsborough Medical Center Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, but also up on the Hill at OHSU, and have opportunities where we can have our residents get engaged with community partners. And I'm going to call on Esteban again, because he did a wonderful talk for our friends over at Adelante, and then had a subsequent talk. Esteban, you want to kind of share how that kind of panned out for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do during our didactics kind of early on is we have this kind of a symposium where we're able to kind of go out into the community, see the different organizations that are there, and see what resources they offer and how we can kind of partner with them to kind of help the community that we serve in. And during one of those sessions, I was able to kind of make a relationship here with a group called Adelante Mujeres. And because of that relationship, we've been able to give 2 talks already with them about different healthcare topics to their groups. They're all in Spanish, and this year we had a couple of interns join me for one of those talks, and so it's been really great. You can see that picture there. They have a farmer's market that I was able to go in and kind of hang out with some of the people that we did the talk with there. And again, I think for me, being in the community is something that's super important. And I think a strength of our program here is that we can definitely do that. We have been doing that. And now that we have those relationships, we're going to keep going.
Thanks, Esteban. And we try to build these experiences into our curriculum. We function under a 2-week block cycle. The intent is to really kind of get you immersed in an educational experience that's long enough where you get to learn and watch someone get admitted, get treated and discharged from the hospital, but is not, I think we've all taken care of the patients who stayed in the hospital for 4 weeks and waiting for placement. And so the hope is that not only can the residents get that experience, but then they can pivot to an outpatient facing rotation and get more clinic experience. And we really try to set our residents up for success. We have 2 clinical sites that they both located in Hillsborough, so they're only like 5 minutes from each other. One's Orenco, and we send 3 residents a year there, and then 5 a year down at our South Hillsborough site. And we immediately get them immersed in clinic so that they feel that the residency clinic is their educational home. The MAs and the staff are super supportive of the residents, and really it does, because it can be scary when you're totally facing, doing a lot of inpatient work, and then you have to go to one afternoon clinic a week. It can feel very foreign, especially if you end up having a schedule where you're like 3 months on inpatient, like what happened to me when I was a resident. So, as a program director, you get to fix these things at your residence. So it gives a chance for the residents to really build up a panel of patients right off the bat. And Stevan, do you want to kind of share what it's like for you to go to continuity clinic?
Yeah, I really like this 2-week model that we have, because it's really difficult to say, hey, to your patient, hey, let's follow up in, I guess, 3 months, because that's the next time I'm in clinic. And so this 2-week model really helps to build that continuity. And the really nice thing too about doing these blocks is that while you're inpatient, there's been several times where I've seen either, on P's, I've seen a baby, or on inpatient, I've seen an adult, and I said, hey, you know what, we need to follow up. You can actually follow with me in clinic because I'm going to be there on Friday. And so kind of having that continuity has been a really great thing. And both clinics are awesome. I'm very biased to mine, obviously, but we have a great time at both of them for sure.
All right, thanks, Esteban. And so during our rotations, pretty much our entire first year of rotations is based at Hillsborough Medical Center, and that was also intentional. We're really trying to create a presence for our residency, give a chance for our residents to get to learn. Like we front load ortho and general surgery for them in the fall, so they get to meet the surgeons right off the bat and really develop that relationship for future consults. And in talking to the surgeons, mentioned to them, I really want you to teach my residents what you want them to know or assume they should know coming and before, and then who they should refer to your office. So they've been great with getting procedural training, a lot of lumps and bumps in the surgery. We have great peds inpatient team at Hillsborough Medical Center that's staffed by OHSU Dornbecker neonatologists who love to teach. And then, also should mention, we have one of the only Jerry psych units in the state, and we have a partnered rotation where you get a week of inpatient psych and a week of outpatient behavioral health, partnered with a social work team. So you really get to see what it looks like for a patient to be in crisis on the inpatient side, mental health crisis, and the outpatient side. And so for second year, we have some newer rotations that we've added. Now we have a senior on service. So Esteban and his classmates are learning how to be senior residents. We just had a great meeting with them last week about some feedback and tips to kind of help them succeed in that role. So our inpatient adult medicine team will have one senior and 2 interns, and our OB likewise has a senior intern couplet. Our residents also get a chance to now go up to OHSU Dornbecker to do some inpatient pediatrics, some geriatrics. They have in the intern year and second year with a mix of palliative care, wound care, long-term care, hospice. You're starting to get more out into the community, doing some outpatient peds at a locally federally qualified health center. Impact is our addiction medicine consult service, so our residents will be doing that in the spring. And then, of course, introducing some electives. And so Esteban got a chance to do a great elective. Do you want to kind of share about what that was like for you?
Yeah, I was able to do an elective with a community clinic here at Virginia Garcia. And for me, that was, really have been a highlight because it's working with the community that I want to serve, the Latino population. So was able to work with one of our awesome, attendees over there, Dr. Eva Galvez. And I was able to go out to the farm worker campsites, the nurseries, do some OB, do a little bit of everything, and kind of see what it means to be like in a more community, I guess, clinic that's primarily Spanish speaking. And so it was a really fun time, and looking forward to maybe doing some more rotations over there with them.
Yes, and that would be awesome. That's what her feedback was for me, Stevan. So
all right.
And other electives that we've done today, because again, we're being new. We have that second year class. Actually, both classes have a nice mix of different interests. So one of our residents is really interested in sports med, so she's out doing sports med electives. We'll be doing a medical 10 at the Portland Marathon. She wanted to go to an ultrasound course for focus. So we, one of her classmates like adjusted his schedules to accommodate that for her to go to attend that. And that's what I love to see as a program director is like we have a team, they support one another and they're willing to kind of help one another participate in opportunities that will help advance their individual careers. So I will mention didactics as well. I think I'm very proud of our didactics for being such a young program. It's really pretty well established already. In fact, I'm so proud of our APD who put this together that I propose that we present this on a national scale because there's a lot of new programs out there, as you will see as you go through the match. But ours is an 18-month rolling curriculum. We also have protected time on Wednesday afternoon for our residents. And that was one of the earliest feedbacks we got. It was where they're like, it's not clear. I'm like, so I will make it clear that our residents go to didactics and we hold the pagers so that they can be focused on studying. And we do a mix of didactics, PowerPoints, we do procedural trainings, focus. We have a Ballant group that meets every other week. For those who aren't familiar with that, it's a support system for our residents as they evolve into their professional selves. We've incorporated some OB case review of ABFM Journal Club. They actually have some FaceTime with me every month that is built in to discuss not only kind of like nuts and bolts of being a resident, but we'll do some advocacy, we'll do some leadership. And then Esteban had mentioned the symposia, and we really try to use that as an opportunity to highlight our community resources. So rather than just getting a lecture about refugee health, like let's bring in the teams that actually do that and live that in the community. So we just had that a couple of weeks ago, and that was awesome, where different community partners came in and shared resources and how they help new families to the community get the care they need. We've done a similar one with addiction medicine, and we're planning one on family violence and resources for that coming in November, and in the spring planning one for job search strategies, because I've now gotten, I don't know, 5 emails in the last 3 weeks about people wanting to hire my R2s already. So, and I think I always kind of view that as part of my job. Look, we have you for 3 years, but I need to give you a skill set that you can use for the next 30. And I really, I think all the residents have an advisor. We have our, biannual review, and I don't view it as a punitive. I view it as a developmental opportunity. So pretty much all the faculty know what Esteban's interests are. Everyone knows what Allie's interests are, and we really try to nurture them. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Esteban. Like, what does that feel like for you as you're living that, as you're kind of going through your 3-year program here?
Yeah, I think the fact that everyone knows what I'm interested in is wonderful, because then I get opportunities. Like Dr. Norley will send me a text, send me an email, hey, this opportunity came up, and I'll have my advisor, hey, have you heard about this event coming up? And because everyone knows what I'm interested in, they really support me and give me great opportunities to continue to be part of those things that I'm interested in. So I really love that.
All right, thanks, Esteban. I think we're kind of coming up to time, so we're gonna just kind of share. I put this together today. These are all of our 16 residents, and just they're just a great bunch. They really, and I always think back to when I was looking for a program, like who do I want to be working with at 2 o'clock in the morning? Like, do I want someone who's like in my face, aggressive, or do I want people who just like get down, do the work, but make it kind of fun? And that's what I feel like we're creating out here in Hillsborough, like a healthy space to learn and collaborate as a team to kind of get through this 3 years together. And so these are some reflections that I asked them last year about like advice for you as we're looking at the 100+, well, maybe not 100+, but a lot of people who are applying to this year's match. Trust your guts. Esteban had some nice comments too about, using some meaningful patient encounters. And I like this comment from Logan. It was like, there's a lot of pressure on you as a 4th year. And it's, residency sounds like doom and gloom, but honestly, like, you're going to make lifelong friends. You're going to learn and grow into your professional self. And I all the interns right now are just kind of like, oh my God, and I'm like, you know, like the R2s are amazing. And I said, they looked exactly like you guys did last year. Exactly. So it'll happen if you let it. So wanted to kind of give, if you are interested in learning more about Hillsborough, come check us out tomorrow night, 6:45 to 8:45. There's a bunch of residents and faculty who will be present, and likewise on a Friday. If you're interested, we have a very fledgling Instagram account that's been rolled out, and some Twitter, those you can follow us there. Esteban, anything else you want to add before we have to go to break?
No, no, thank you for everyone being here. Just like Dr. Lee said, good luck. You guys are at the end here, so keep going. You're almost there.
It looks like there's one question about Ballant. And so Ballant is an approach to exploring situations that occur in medicine that sometimes don't have, an answer, or there's emotions that get, you have a patient who's dying and a lot of residents take care of them, and you need a safe space to process that, or you need a safe space to be vulnerable. Like and so Ballant happens. I don't actually know what happens in there, and that's intentional. I want my residents, honestly, I'm sure they complain about me sometimes, and that's a healthy thing to do. So I don't need to know about that. But I want them to kind of have a safe space. And I know that's Ballant. It's been around for like 4 decades, and it's one of many ways to kind of build wellness into our program for our residents.
Thank you, Kay. And thank you, everybody. And I know that many of you submitted questions on the forms that you filled out online. And what I'm going to do is I've circulated those questions to the residency directors, and I will circulate them again after this week and try to get answers in regards to those questions, and then I will be sharing those with everybody. So, but now, if you'd like to take a little break, you can, or if you'd like to play Orca Bingo, you can do that also, which is right here. And then we'll come back at 6:30 to hear from Roseburg. I'm sad to see that there are not more knitters amongst you. Only 4 people knit something. I'm a big knitter, so this is always fun. A few people adopted pets. When you organized your junk drawer, I hope that you also left another junk drawer. And I see that there are questions about adding sessions or changing sessions. And I sent information about that in the chat. Now, if you are unable to log back in and you would like to email me, that would be fine. But I will need that to be done the evening before the session that you would like to sign up for, so that I can have enough time to put you in there. Thank you. All of the links all week are different. Each link is different. So you will be getting links for the sessions for which you signed up. And I think it's almost 6:30, and I think I can turn it over to Roseburg. Heidi and Desiree, I've already made both of you co-hosts.
Okay, sorry. 3 screens and I don't know where my things go when I click on Zoom buttons. Can you all hear me okay? So, thank you. All right, so we are down here in Roseburg in a new residency. This is a picture of us during our orientation. This is actually my backyard, so you can get a little view of the beauty that you can live in the beginning of spring when my garden wasn't very big, but this is not quite all of our residents, but a good portion of our residents. So we are a new residency, just filled our 3rd class, and so we now have 24 residents. We have a kind of interesting triangle of organization where we are under an academic sponsorship through OptiWest. And then our local partnership is with Aviva Health, which is an FQHC clinic here in town, and then the local hospital Mercy Medical Center. And we get to live in, I think, the most beautiful area possible. Roseburg is just so close to so many waterfalls and spots of water that it is an absolute gorgeous place to be active in our state. And so every year at the beginning of orientation, we take a waterfall hike, and we really try to get the residents out there as much as possible doing these kind of events. So Douglas County, if you're not familiar, we do go all the way over to the coast. And the nice thing is that though we are rural, Roseburg itself only has a population just over 20,000. The population of the county that the hospital takes care of is over 100,000. And so we are able to have all of our residents get all of their education here at our hospital, and they don't have to leave for other rotations. They get to do everything in Douglas County. And if you want to do a little bit more shopping or anything like that, it's a quick drive up to Eugene, just 70 miles north of us. And then it takes about 3 hours to get all the way up to Portland. And so it's an easy drive on the freeway. And we used to be known as the timber capital of the world. We have beautiful nature all around us. But being rural, we have an older, sicker population that enables us to have this really great opportunity for caring for this population. And so our residents have told us that they just are amazed at the need that is in our community. And then on the weekends, when they get a little free time, they can head on over to the coast, go up to the waterfalls, and have that R&R. With this new class, now that we are up to 24 residents, we were not even close to being able to fit. This right side was where our old clinic was, and we were bursting at the seams. And so we now have expanded, and this is all our new clinic. And so it is really exciting to have moved in there this past May. And so it's this beautiful clinic to be practicing in with our FQHC. It has 34 exam rooms and 4 procedure rooms to accommodate our OMM and on all of our other procedures. And then on the second floor, we have this large teaching kitchen and conference space to do didactics, as well as host community events. And so we have a lifestyle and nutrition course that is hosting that we offer free for the community. And we have between 60 and 90 people coming to our classes for free, which is a really great community resource. Our clinic has a really strong emphasis on serving the underserved. And so we have lots of different ways of reaching out to the community for that. The bottom picture is one of our 2 mobile units that we use to get out into the community. Within our clinic, we have full spectrum care with dental, pediatrics, reproductive health, integrated primary care, behavioral health, as well as our outpatient behavioral health. We have 2 dietitians, the social workers. We have a substance use disorder and MAT clinic. And then we're really excited that we're going to be having a pharmacy opening up in our clinic in the next couple months. This is a picture of our hospital. It is a 174-bed hospital with a large number of emergency room visits and admissions, so that the residents are able to do all of their clinic care in the hospital. When we set out to look at with starting a new residency, what do we need to have as part of our residency to focus on? And we really looked at, in rural communities, what are the problems? And so when we did our community health needs assessment, we found that that people are underserved, and we need to focus on that, as well as a significant burden of chronic disease. And so we developed a focus on lifestyle medicine and our community medicine and public health. The addiction medicine is a big part, as well as the mental health and focusing on the behavioral health. Our lifestyle medicine residency curriculum allows our residents to actually become double board certified in both family medicine and lifestyle medicine. They learn motivational interviewing techniques to help patients eliminate tobacco use, improve their diet, physical activity, improve sleep, decrease alcohol consumption. And we're just having loads of fun using our new teaching kitchen and doing those community classes. Here's some of the pictures from the different activities we've been doing with our residents. And we have a session this Friday at 12 o'clock if you're interested in that and want to learn more. Dr. Simran Waller, one of our 3rd-year residents, is going to be leading that session. Substance use disorder is, like I mentioned, a big issue in especially rural areas, but throughout the nation. And so we've had a big focus on that for our residency, with 6 weeks of required rotations in the 2nd and 3rd year. And within our own clinic, we have a buprenorphine clinic. And then we also work with another clinic in town that offers full spectrum care with a methadone clinic and a detox clinic. And so the residents get to work in both of those settings. It's been echoed before with the other residencies that I've talked, but leadership and community medicine is a big focus within residencies. And so the ways we're working on those areas is having the residents do a capstone project in their 3rd year. And so we have them work with local community organizations, including HIV Alliance, Peace at Home Advocacy Center, our public health network, our Blue Zones certified community partner called Thrive Umpqua, and the homeless center called Dream Center. And they develop and they get a longitudinal rotation to do a small community project with one of those groups. And so our residents have been just starting to do that now that we just started our 3rd year. And the projects that they are doing are absolutely amazing. And so when you come to talk to us on Tuesday and Wednesday, please talk to the residents about what their projects are, what they're doing, because I am just so impressed with the changes that they're making in the community. there's been a lot of questions about osteopathic manipulation. And so we currently are working towards osteopathic recognition. We aren't as far along as Corvallis, but we really do have a focus on this. We have 2 DOs per class, just happened to be that way with our match. And so we have an OMM clinic on Fridays. It's a huge demand. We have more patients wanting it than we actually have the space for. And so we're always looking to grow that. And then we also have didactics focused on that. And so our allopathic student residents can also learn some manipulation as well. For the reproductive health, we're actually a decentralized public health in Douglas County. And so Aviva is actually hosts a lot of the public health in our own clinic. And so the reproductive health is actually all done within our own clinic. And so the residents get a lot higher numbers for the contraception prescribing, placing Nexplanons and IUDs within our clinic. And then they also rotated a couple other clinics in town to bring up their GYN experience as well as their OB numbers. And then we've already heard about Noel and using the simulators to also practice learning how to do deliveries and that kind of thing. And so lots of just opportunities to get your comfort level up and numbers up. Didactics, we have a dedicated didactic time from noon to 5 o'clock on Thursdays. Same kind of thing, making sure that there aren't any interruptions, that this is everybody is expected to be there and excused from their other rotations. And the emphasis on that case-based learning environment, we do from journal review to evidence-based medicine, leadership, and then everybody's favorite is the procedure clinics. And so we go to sim lab and practice the intubation and then suturing to endometrial biopsies on little tomatoes. So getting creative with the different ways to do procedure clinics is a lot of fun. And residency is hard, there's no doubt about it. And so it's always a challenge in residency to figure out how do we really focus on wellness. And so we've worked on putting in as many supports as we can. One of them is we pay for a service called Tend Health, which is a counseling service available for the residents that is available 24/7. They can go online and make an appointment, and then it is all confidential, unlimited, free for the residents, and that enables them to really make sure that they can easily get behavioral health services if they need it, and make it easier. We also do, the residents have monthly support group. We go on a yearly retreat. This is some pictures from our retreat when we've done some team building activities. And then the wellness committee does many activities as well. We're working on trying to make sure that we get together at least once a month for a fun activity. And then justice, equity, diversity, inclusion are very important within our residency. Our recruitment efforts have focused on diversity and diverse backgrounds. Our JEDI committee meets on a regular basis and have lots of activities that they've been supporting. And rather than go into it tonight, we actually are doing a talk on Monday. The event is from 10:30 to 11:45. And so we really encourage you to attend that event. And please come on our Tuesday or Wednesday, and we're happy to give you more details with that. And I know that most places are struggling with health profession shortage areas. That is really the reason that we started our residency, was because we don't have enough family medicine doctors, and we really want to produce high quality, fantastic family physicians for Oregon, for rural areas. And so we are encouraging our residents to apply to Aviva to get jobs in our area and or stay in Oregon. And so we are really excited that we are getting close to graduating our first class of residents and hoping that some of them will stay in our community. So our goal has been to train exceptional family physicians who are ideally suited for practice in the 21st century. I think that I'm very proud of the residents that we have recruited, of the faculty members that we have. We have really focused on that full spectrum family medicine doctor that we want to train here in a rural area. And I'm really excited of the quality of residents that we have. And I hope that you can come and talk with us more on Tuesday. We're going to be there from 12 to 2, or Wednesday at 6:45 to 8:45. We're going to be breaking into small groups so that you can really talk to our residents and other faculty members and really get your questions asked. And I tried to speed through it so that if people had any questions, they could ask some questions. And I am not able to see things when I'm in this mode. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if anybody has any questions. A 100 people and no questions, huh?
I actually have a question. Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
So someone had asked this, but I think it was Dr. Edwards that responded from the Samaritan residency about the different sessions being more or less the same, I think. Is that the case for the 2 sessions for Roseburg as well?
For us, it's going to be more or less the same. We're having different residents and faculty are able to attend. So we're really, our goal is to break into small groups and give you a chance to get to know our faculty and residents. And so, if you want to attend both and get to know more of us, you are welcome to attend both. But we certainly understand that you guys are all busy and we have lots of things happening this week. And so if you can attend one of them, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Dr. Deary, somebody had asked the question on the forms that were sent in earlier about what fun things are there to do in Roseburg when you have time off?
All right, that's a great question. So we have a river that runs right through the town. And so we like to go in the summer, we like to go inner tubing or paddle boarding down the river. It's a great place to go hiking and biking. I bike to work. And so all of that kind of outdoor stuff. In the winter time, you can even go like downhill skiing and that kind of thing. If you're not an outdoor person, we have a nice little theater. So next week I'm going to be going to our little theater. There's a great orchestra in town. So even though we are small and rural, there's still like that art and fun things to do as well. And so you don't have to be an outdoors person. Our residents enjoy doing that. We have some great wineries and breweries and that kind of stuff to also hang out in and do that kind of thing as well. And then also our residents are just fun to hang out with. So you can just hang out with friends. And then I have a couple questions just about our interview stuff. So our interviews, similar to, I think we're all in Oregon going to be doing virtual interviews. We are going to be offering a couple of, after the interview season in end of January, early February, we're going to be offering 2 on-site tour days if you would like to attend, but that's certainly an optional thing. And really our criteria is we generally look at people who have graduated in the last 3 years, but similar to what was said previously, that if you have some special circumstances and you reach out to us, we will look at your application. And so I think the only other thing is that we do not accept visas. And so, but we certainly accept IMGs, and we really look for really the right fit. So people who are really interested in serving the underserved, rural, passionate about family medicine and what we do here in Roseburg. And so that's what we look for in your application. And yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
Dr. Beery,
yep.
I'm going to say thank you. And then
Thank
if
you.
you can save the other questions for the end, because it's now time for OHS
Perfect.
to give their talk. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to try to see if I can successfully share my screen. All right. I think it's playing. And so it's good to see everybody here tonight. I know it feels a bit of a whirlwind. And so thanks for sticking in with us. My name is Joe Scaraya. I'm the program director for the program and the OHSC Family Medicine program out in Portland. I've been in my role for the last 4 years here as a program director. I came out here about 10 years ago. We're going to get into a little bit of our structure. I work out at our Rural Health Center, and kind of my draw to OHSU and to Portland was, and to Oregon just overall, was just kind of this passion around full spectrum care. My clinic is located at the Rural Health Center, located in Scappoose, Oregon. All my hospital work happens on the Hill in Portland, and I still do deliveries and inpatient care, and it's just kind of a passion of mine that we are training doctors to meet the needs of our communities and doing so in a robust way. One of the things you may notice about our program, or if you haven't yet, now you do, is that we're a 4-year residency program. And we get a lot of questions about what is it like, or why are we this 4-year program? And our entrance into the realm of being a 4-year family medicine residency really predates my time here, but really kind of was about the time where I was starting out here. And there was a lot of thought that went into like this length of training, like what's the ideal length of training? We had a lot of thought leaders here nationally and locally, kind of thinking about, just a landscape of medicine and family medicine. And gosh, over a decade ago, we were seeing changes in the way training was happening, just when we started to recognize that for patient safety that we should be limiting duty hours and really thinking about how we do training. We're finding that medical students, entering into residency kind of had decreased exposure in medical school for a variety of reasons. And that there's this responsibility that physicians were needing to really kind of grab a hold of, because we were, expanding coverage, but really like the need was really out there for kind of a higher level physician. At the same time, our docs were all getting burnt out, and we're kind of entering into these practices that were not, quite the scope that we had hoped for our trainees. And so we joined there's 3 programs across the country in this length of training pilot. It's out in Massachusetts, out in Connecticut, and us. There's a program down in Texas, JPS, that also has kind of an optional 4-year program, but 3 of us are kind of fully integrated 4-year programs. And the truth is, we are absolutely thrilled with the result of this training. We love, what our residents have gone on to do, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. This class that we're recruiting right now is the last of that class, and some of you are probably know that there's a national discussion happening about what is the optimal length of training in family medicine. And in the coming year, the ABFM and the ACGME want to explore that. And so there's going to be a new rash of collection of 4-year programs, up to 10%, so 70 across the country. And we're really excited about that, because we think for us, that is really work. We're going to continue in this 4-year training model. And part of it is, we believe in comprehensive training. So we didn't take a 3-year program and stretch it across 4 years. We took a robust 3-year program that has, was the first in the state. It's got a really long history behind it. A program that we were very proud of, but like we knew needed more. And so we built onto that really rigorous 3-year program. So we've continued robust inpatient training. We believe in care of adults, children, and pregnant patients, both in the hospital and outside of the hospital. So in our program, we have 28 weeks of a family medicine focused inpatient service that all our residents are required to do. We have 8 weeks of maternity care and neonatal care that is a family medicine service. In addition, all of our residents do 12 weeks of additional obstetric training. 8 of those are high risk in the 2nd and 3rd year, where you're solo with an obstetrician and an MFM doctor. There are 4 weeks in the ICU, 4 weeks in the NICU. You'll do 4 weeks additional pediatrics inpatient work, 2 weeks of palliative care work in your 3rd year, and then 2 weeks of medicine selective. We also believe that context is really important. Our belief is that, when residents join us, they've got an idea of the kind of family medicine doctor they want to be, but oftentimes because of limitations of what you're exposed to in medical school, you can't see it all. So we want, no matter what your background is, as you come into our program, that we expose you to a high level of care in a variety of settings, so that when you leave here, you can enter into any training in any practice environment that's out there. So you spend a lot of time here up on the hill in Portland, in Oregon's Academic Tertiary Care Center, but you also spend time at the Children's Hospital, at the VA, you'll be in community hospitals. Part of our 4-year program is we've got a partnership with Kaiser Permanente, which is a vertically integrated health system. And so one of our continuity clinics is out there, but also a lot of rotational experiences working in that system. Also thinking about how do they do population health? How do we do population health in our system? How does Care Oregon do population health? So really thinking about these systems, because we think that's really important. One of our continuity clinics is an FQHC, but also we work with other FQHCs in the area for rotational experiences. One of our clinics is a rural health center, one of our continuity clinics, but also you'll go out for 6 weeks. It's mandatory in our program to a critical access hospital in Eastern Oregon. So that's a frontier experience, a community we've been involved with for 25 years, where our graduates have gone on to practice and really kind of be leaders in that community in Enterprise, Oregon. But that is part of our experience. We think that setting really matters, and exposing you to every possible setting in medicine is really important. But once you get that core training, we also have modifiable time. So especially in your 3rd and 4th year, this really blossoms. And the goal is we want you to be thinking about where you're going, and then what kind of depth do you need to build. And so there's 12 weeks of elective time spread over your 4 years, but also 26 weeks of modifiable area concentration time. A lot of our residents go on to build clinical experiences, and that's great. We've got a whole host of those that you could do, whether that's you want to spend some time at a paracentesis clinic, you want to spend more time beyond a required at Planned Parenthood, or over at Kaiser, or do you need more ICU experience, or do you need more time in a rural ER? Some of our residents have gone on to do educational leadership experiences. Some of that is you'll go and you'll teach a course at the medical school. We've had several residents do that. There's certificates and certifications like lifestyle medicine or the Relational Leadership Institute. One of our graduates from this year did a lepidology fellowship during his residency. Sometimes there's some research things that you're interested in. And then, is there national, regional, advocacy or academic experiences that you're interested in? One of our residents this year is on the AAFP board. He's using his AOC time to really fulfill those requirements. And we really want to help prompt him in that, because that's a part of his career. And then is there advocacy work, either regional or on the state level? So what else should you in large know about our program? Well, this is a picture from our last retreat, which was pre-COVID. We're actually going back to this retreat center in the next month, but we're a big program. I mentioned we're 4 years. We have 12 per class. We have about 48 residents. We're also a large portion of primary care that happens here at OHSU. Our department is large. We have over 200 faculty members. We have family medicine doctors, about 30 who do obstetrics in our department, 5 family medicine doctors who do C-sections at our academic tertiary care center. Over 40 of us do inpatient care, adult peds. So we admit at the Children's Hospital, we admit in the NICU. In our residency, we have got 20 focus faculty members, and those are the folks who work with our residents on mentoring, advising, their capstone projects, progress through residency. We have 8 associate residency directors. We have 2 BH faculty members. We have 7 administrative staff. We really invest in our residency, and our size really helps us meet the goals of our residents. We also have really robust continuity clinics. So the continuity clinics that our residents are partners with us. These are patient-centered primary care medical homes, and we do everything there. We've been a part of the READY curriculum since its inception. We've outlived the grant, but we do TABs and MABs in 3 of our clinics. We do IUDs, Nexplanons, vasectomies, colposcopies, LEEPs, OMT. I'm a DO in our rural health center. We do OMT. We do gender affirming care in all of our clinics. We do MAT in all of our clinics. We meet the needs of our patients because we think we can deliver the care that our patients need and that they want, regardless of where they're at. And we think that our continuity of care, the relationships we bring, are really important for the success of our patients. Our residents also, again, like this is in the time of COVID, when we think about like our residents' patient visits, even in COVID, our PGY4s and 21 and 22 graduates had over 2,000 visits, but over half of them were with them. They were the PCP of these patients. I'm really, really proud of that. That's something we think is really valuable. Unique aspects of our required curriculum. So all of our residents go through kind of a health system science curriculum where we will talk about clinical leadership. You will do robust QI work. All of our residents graduate with 5 QI projects that are clinic-based, one of which that they coached a team through. So they were kind of the leader coaching aside while like other residents led that. Our residents walk out with that in the job market so they can talk to employers about high quality QI work. We have a curriculum on health equity, community organizing. So we have a relationship with Metropolitan Alliance for the Common Good. They come in with our 4th years and over a 6 to 8 week period, help our residents organize in the community so that it's a ground up advocacy work. We also have experiences in public health and population management. Gosh, in the time of COVID, in our Tri-County area, 2 of the 3 health officers were graduates of our program. And so really kind of leading in public health. And I talk about population management. We work with Care Oregon, which helps, is kind of the underwriter essentially for a Medicaid product and a Medicare product in the state, but also at Kaiser, again, a vertically integrated health system. How do they do population health management? And then even within OHSU, how do our leaders here do population management? We really focus on some pediatric experiences. So beyond our inpatient work and the visits in our clinic, we've spent additional time with rotations around adolescent medicine with a relationship with the school-based health center, developmental pediatrics on the Hill, pediatric emergency room visits, and then additional outpatient-focused pediatrics in an F2HC setting. All of our residents do a capstone project. This is really nestled in a resident passion. We have a research associate that that's part of our faculty essentially, that help with kind of project management, the IRB process, data processing. Most of this is about research, QI, or curriculum, but we've let residents really kind of push the bounds on like how they want to think about a capstone project. We just ask that there's a question and answer and that there are people interested in what they're talking about. This has led to publications, some advocacy work, national, regional presentations, work that we're really proud of. And then we do have structured learning. So we've got a 2x2 curriculum. That's at 2 weeks inpatient, 2 weeks outpatient. We've got an inpatient curriculum led by our family medicine inpatient service faculty. That's twice weekly. We have radiology rounds led by our faculty radiologists, but also our didactics are on Wednesdays. It's all day if you're on an outpatient rotation. In the morning, it's cohort based. So within your PGY class, like PGY 1s and 2s come together, PGY 4s come together, the 3rds kind of have some work with the 1s and 2s and by themselves. And in the afternoon, the entire residency gets together. On one of we do a mix of virtual and in-person, and it depends on the Wednesday, and I've got just a slide on that. But and the 3rd Wednesday of the month is Family Medicine Skills Lab. And so if you join us for one of our sessions this week, you're going to join one of our skill labs. It's going to be about rapid response and how do we run that with one of the MICU fellows and one of our RRT nurses. We spent some time in this last year rethinking didactics. And so if there are 5 Wednesdays in the month, we will be in person for the first Wednesday. And then the fourth Wednesday, and the second Wednesday, it's based in the continuity clinic. And the third Wednesday, it's a skills lab. There's 5 Wednesdays in the month. That fifth Wednesday in the afternoon is about wellness. And so there's a wellness resident-led didactic or resident interest in our didactic. Our goal is that your last day of training will look like your first day of practice. You will walk out of here well prepared, regardless of the situation you're going to walk into. What do our graduates do? I've got a couple slides just on this. This is based on data that we're collecting in our length of training pilot. This is a national data set that's going to be coming out. What they do is they wait for 3 years. They wait for our graduates to leave 3 years later, and then they survey our graduates. We've gotten an 87% response rate, and really proud of kind of the work that they're doing. So first of all, nearly 100% of our graduates are doing outpatient work. So they're seeing patients in the outpatient setting. 96% of our graduates say that their work is meaningful to them, and 81% feel that they're able to practice their scope of practice. They're really happy with their scope of practice. When we look at like who's taking care of kids, our graduates are seeing this in their practice in the ambulatory environment, the newborn environment, and even in the inpatient environment. And as far as adults, over 50% are doing inpatient work, 40% are doing nursing home care, and over 60% are doing maternity care. When we look at other aspects, you know, we're just really proud we've got a robust MA addictions curriculum, and seeing that nearly 80% of our graduates are doing MAT work, buprenorphine specifically, nearly 100% are doing IUD, almost 50% are doing POCUS, they're doing vasectomies almost at 40% in their practices, and then even inpatient procedures, a big surprise. You know, there's a lot of exposure in our program, but they're going out and finding these practices where they are able to do it, and we're really proud of that. And as far as like the context, you know, almost a quarter of our graduates going into health professional shortage areas, whether that's rural or urban. You know, about a fifth of our graduates go on to do academic work. And so that could be a community program in Chicago or Brown or the University of Michigan or OHSU or Roseburg or Providence. But we're really proud of like that they're going on to be the next generation of educators. And almost a quarter are going on to go into some kind of a leadership position. For more information, visit us this week. First session's tomorrow. This is going to be mostly an overview of our program. I'll go into some of our schedules so you can get a look at what that's like. Some of our residents may join us. On Wednesday, it'll be our didactic session. I'll kind of do an intro in the beginning, and then we're going to try to, it's an in-person didactic. We're going to try to allow you to just kind of a kind of like outsider view of what that can be like. It's an experiment, but we hope it'll work. And then we also have more information online for some of the questions that I saw that were comment out there. They're on our website, but we also have an Instagram account that our residents have kept up. That it's been really fun. I'm not much of someone who's on Instagram, but just seeing the involvement that our residents have had with it has been a lot of fun. And that is all that I was going to share.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scuria. And next we'll go to Dr. Osborne, who will be telling us about Providence, Oregon. And we do have some extra time towards the end. And I know that we went over a little bit in time on a couple people. So feel free to, you know, use your 15 minutes and then we can just add on at the end. Thank you.
Can you see my slides?
Your slides look great.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody. I know this is kind of winding through and I'll try to keep this short. Our website's got tons of details and I'm not going to go into a lot of that, but you know, as we head into fall and recruiting season, I think this is one of the more important things that we do because we're going to spend a lot of time together. We're going to learn together and going to have some fun and work hard. So it's a picture of our, you know, red leaf maple matching code beepers that you can get. We are a small community program. We're unopposed, and one of our faculty described it, and she went through this program as we're a collaborative, supportive group that's active, and we coach and do feedback. And by that I mean we listen to what folks say and we try to make it better. I think we nurture curiosity and we assist in your learning, as we're really all lifelong learners. You know, talk about some. Yeah.
Your slides are actually in like presenter mode instead of.
Oh, sorry.
And I don't know if you care. We can see them either way, but I just wanted to let you know.
I've got nothing hidden, but let me see if I can change. Let's see. I'm gonna Let me kick out of that. And slideshow. It kicks me into that no matter what I do, it looks like. Any thoughts of how to live from current slide image?
We can see them fine, so it's also okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'd like to have the whole thing across. Maybe that's better. So here's our website. You guys can check out. You should have gotten a link from Louise on that. And to talk about our curriculum, we have our first year in blocks and the second and third year longitudinal. And every year I ask the same thing. Should we blow this up because it's hard to schedule? And every year the scheduler and our residents say, no, don't do that. This is the best way to learn, that I really like that. And it's, instead of spending something for 4 weeks and then forgetting about it, you get it interspersed. And there's some things I'm really proud of. I came down here to be program director from University of Washington after 28 years up there in 2016. And I was blown away by all that Providence Milwaukee had in place around MAT, Suboxone training. We're part of a group with OHSU and Legacy and others doing Project Nurture. It's substance use disorder treatment for pregnant women. Amazing outcomes with that, like 70% reduction of preterm labor. Majority, like 90+% of the kids go home with the mom. And we support them through that first year of life with some additional resources. And it was so successful, we expanded into It Matters, which is, substance use disorder for all adults. And we've got a team of that are supporting gender affirming care. One of our residents last year made that her project for her scholarly work. And there's a digital group that works in our Epic where they serve as consultants for others in Providence. So really a joy to see both residents and faculty be a part of that. And then we've expanded our community medicine. It had been a week and it was just not adequate. And we were expanding to 4 weeks. We're including advocacy, street medicine experience. One of our clinic directors was a medical director at Outside In, a homeless youth clinic for 10 years. We have a community teaching kitchen, a food pharmacy, a hospital garden, and we're starting to fire that back up as we get through COVID, and it's a lot of fun. And then, we really support wellness, and it's not just us saying that. When I came down here, there was a very strong wellness group. We have monthly support groups. We link residents up with free counseling. And it's not that I think our residency is harder than any others. I just think it's nice to have that outlet, that it's hard to find folks that understand what the life of a resident or a physician are like. And it just is supportive. And then we've really expanded our DEI into all areas of education. We have Smarty goals for each of our committees. We have residents on all of our committees. We just completed some upstander training and spent some time talking about microaggressions, and they're not so micro when they stack up, and how do you address them? And so if you're silent, then you're condoning it. And so if we can learn how to respond and stand up to things, and we're doing that for residents and faculty, and folks have been very appreciative. And I don't think we're any worse than anywhere else, but it's just, how do you do that? Because it happens to folks every place. And then we have an endowment that's helped fund a underrepresented minorities in medicine sub-I, and looking forward to utilizing that. We also got 15 butterfly IQ heads for point of care ultrasound. And to be honest, we were a little behind. And I think we're rapidly catching up and gonna move forward with that. I was just on a week awards, and we did a couple paracenteses utilizing them. And it's just so different. Even the OB ultrasounds we have in our office are not nearly as good as the butterfly IQ. You can do bladder scans and it calculates it like pretty instantly. We also have an open ICU, 6-bed ICU on our inpatient service. So you manage folks throughout your training in the ICU. We've got great pulmonary critical care backup, and you'll get to know your specialist because you're working one-on-one with the attendings. And we do an ICU 3-week rotation or a larger hospital, PPMC or Prov Portland. And those specialists are the same that rotate through our hospital. And then, we listened to our folks, and based on feedback from all, we were able to negotiate a reduction in our hospital inpatient. And so we started like on the 11th of this month. Going forward forever, we will not have nights for Sunday through Tuesday nights. And that rebalances us both outpatient to inpatient and puts us back in a better spot for balancing the skills that you need to train for both inpatient and outpatient. And then we have a great sim lab up at PPMC. We ended up purchasing a Sophie and her mom. And if you've seen this, it's an amazing haptic device where the baby's coming out. It looks so real and it distends and it's very real. So if you're going to get training before going to a live person, it's really good to practice those things and practice your emergencies so you're ready when they come. We do suturing, and then we link up with Hood River to do mega codes, the Hunger Games, and we also do a wilderness medicine, usually out on one of the islands in the Willamette. And we're this should be a 977. I must have hit the wrong thing. We have the 2 interns from Hood River spend their first year with us and run it like a 1-2 rural training track, which is similar to what Samaritan's doing out on the coast. And then for our fifth Wednesdays, we do a procedural or simulation training with the Hood River residents and Bob Gobo. And then we do a rural training out in Seaside on the coast. It's probably one of our more popular ones. They provide a place for folks to stay, and it's right there on the coast. And many people enjoy the weekends out there when they're not on. And then we've got grads. And one of the joys of being a program director is watching the dispersal of skills and folks go beyond. And when we first started our MAT program, one of the grads went and started a similar program for pregnant women in Bend, and just love to see that kind of expansion. One of our grads runs an inpatient treatment program. Another grad's the head of our sports medicine in Providence. So I think to sum it up, when I came down from the academic center, I wondered, what's going to be like here for medicine? And I can tell you, you get very solidly trained for inpatient. You're going to have a core set of skills that will put you in a good spot, whether you never put foot into the hospital later or if you do full spectrum. And we've had a couple of grads even go on and become nocturnists or hospitalists. Let's see. So I think we're highly sought after. We're in this, if you look, Academic Medicine had an article saying that people choose a residency based on location, and then the program. I tend to believe it. And I think we all benefit from the beauty of Oregon. And I think the life in Portland is really good, as it is in other parts of the state. So I think our community outreach, our efforts for trying to change and improve social justice. We are also a tier 4 and a tier 5 patient-centered medical home clinic. We have 2 clinics. Like I said, we have the teaching food kitchen, training for substance use disorder and caring for underserved populations. And we got great teachers that are passionate about family medicine and learning. We all continue to learn, and a great group of residents too. So what about our grads? Where do they go? Well, we've got good board passage rates. We've graduated 127 grads. Majority are practicing in Oregon. This past year, 5 out of 7 stayed on in Providence. In the past, I'd say it's 2 to 3, and then the rest are pretty much FQHC or FQHC lookalikes. Occasionally, we get somebody that does a sports med fellowship. One of them is now faculty at OHSU in sports medicine. We got somebody down in Natividad doing operative OB and maternal child care. Got somebody that's the University of Pittsburgh in addiction medicine, their first fellow. And I've got a couple of faculty that are certified in addiction medicine. And then a few become faculty in residencies, OHSU and Samaritan to name them. And then here's kind of where they end up. I didn't put Upper Washington. I've got somebody up in Bellingham. I got somebody that's a VA hospitalist in Tennessee, but it looks like the majority of it's kind of Northwest Oregon. Got somebody down in Jefferson. And then for the size of our program, we've got a great group of faculty, 19 faculty, 10 do inpatient medicine, 6 do OB, and several do a mix of it. I finally gave up OB about 4 years ago and missed parts of it, but I am certainly remain dedicated to full spectrum. And then you may not know this, but when we talk about patient-centered medical home, to me, that is a mix of providers that you really want to pull in to take care of folks together. so it's not all on your shoulders. I'm old enough to, when I trained, I didn't have that. And so if you didn't figure it out or deal with it, it wasn't going to happen. And the beauty of an integrated behavioral health person is you can do a warm handoff, or they're there to kind of assist. We also train 5 learners that are grad students in behavioral health, and that allows us to offer free counseling to our patients. And then don't talk about this too often, but our administrative folks are key. They make your life possible and easier, and when problems arise, as they do, make it smoother. So. And then our structured learning is we've, in COVID, flipped out of our 7 a.m. and many people are very thankful, myself included, and flipped to noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Wednesday afternoons, first and third, are case-based learning. And then the others are clinic meetings or QI sessions, population health management. And if there's a 5th Wednesday, like I said, Hood River comes down and we do some simulation. And then, talking about the integration, behavioral health, free counseling, case management, Providence Beginnings is a prenatal social worker. We have a pharmacist, PhD. Oh, that's wrong. And there is a pharmacy residency, so they help teach some of the medicine and pharmaceutical stuff. We have chronic disease and health resiliency coach. And then this is a picture of our clinics. So the Milwaukee clinic's on top, the southeast is below. And this is an older picture of our hospital. Those trees are now up above. So it's a small community hospital, but a very passionate community. It was funded by somebody who ran a lumber yard, and their son is still on the board, and he's now 80 years old. And it's just really integrated into Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 5.5 miles from downtown Portland. I'll share something. When I first saw when I was looking for a job and saw the ad for Milwaukee, and nothing against the Midwest, I grew up there, but I saw Milwaukee and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go back to the freezing winters and stuff. And then I saw it was spelled kind of differently and looked it up and saw it was Portland and came down, and I love the place. It's a small group of passionate folks that are really good at teaching and learning. So I'll leave that. And we also have some unique things. Our hospital started a Jerry Psych unit. We have an 18-bed. It's always full. We occasionally get consulted for medicine, and their Jerry Psych folks are great at teaching too. There's also dental outreach that happens. And then our top 10 diagnoses are really, you never get one, right? You get the whole mix of multiples, but very much the basics of how you manage things. And I find our residents are very skilled at knowing those limitations of workup and the difference between inpatient, where you pull a trigger and work everything up, versus an outpatient, how you stage it. And more importantly, by the time you graduate, you'll recognize when somebody needs to be admitted or needs further care than you can provide. And then the main hospitals that we rotate through: Randall Children's, Providence Portland's where we do ICU, where we do our OB, our Southeast Clinic here, and then rotating Lowers and Milwaukee Hospital and the Milwaukee Clinic. And then St. Vincent's, we do a PGR and a high-risk OB. And just here's where we do OB. But really the question is, why would you want to live in the Portland area? And I love food, and I've grown to love food more. When I first moved here, I had to be careful that my pant size was not going up too fast. So the farmers markets are amazing. We got food trucks. It's Pock's chicken wings that are amazing. We've got sports, the Portland Timbers, and Providence's sports med clinics at the back of that field. So when you're rotating there, you get a good shot of it too. And then, we're a unique city where there's mass transit. This is over by OHSU on the South Waterfront, but this is one of the few bridges in the US that's designed for human power and public transit, and that's it. And I just think the quality of life, and you'll hear from Bob Gobo pretty soon, but as you drive out towards Hood River, this is what you see. It's not long to be skiing on Hood, or just the incredible Oregon coast. And we pinch ourselves every day here that it's just a beautiful place to live. But what really keeps me here and brings me are the people. And it's a great group of learners, a great group of fun. And my advice is go check out our Instagram site on the website. They keep things live and interesting. And our session is going to be Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7:30. I was going to use Teams because Providence uses that, but it doesn't have breakout rooms that you can drop in and out of. So we flipped it to Zoom. So I'll see you all on Tuesday. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Osborne. And Dr. Gobo, I have made you co-host, so you can now start sharing your program. Dr. Gobo, are you muted?
We can see your slides, Bob.
We can see your slides, but we can't hear you.
How about now? Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I think I have presentation fatigue from sitting around all these hours, but I am going to start. And thank you so much, Louise. I don't know how many of you are left, and I know it's probably almost 11 o'clock at night back east. And if you're back in if you're in Europe or the Bahamas or something like that, I apologize, but I'll do my best to kind of go through these slides and then and just give you an overview of our rural training program. This is actually the view from about 60 miles where Justin showed that picture east, looking over the Columbia River Gorge. And those are the beautiful wildflowers that grace our hillsides and the gorge in April and May. So basically, this is our current residency class, plus myself and Liz Jex, who's the residency coordinator. And I'm going to just briefly go through these 8 items, hopefully, for you to learn a little bit about our residency program, which is a pretty unique one, similar in nature to the program out in Newburgh, although, in Newport, but we are our own program. We are not a real training track, but we're a real training program. And just to mention that our origins really come from the Migrant Community Health Center that I first worked at back in 1987. This is a group of our physicians that worked at La Clínica del Cariño. When I was a family doc there, I'm right over here with most of my hair still the same color. I thought this would be a great place to have a residency, and it took about 25 years for that to happen. And now our residency, as well as our community health center, has 3 different sites, both in the Dalles, our high school, and in Hood River, that has over 300 different employees. But just to mention a little bit about our community, because that is such a big part of our small residency program, is that we are in the town of Hood River, which is about 60 miles east of Portland. It's in the magnificent Columbia River Gorge that was formed during the Ice Age and all the melts. It is very agricultural. There are a lot of orchards, vineyards, but it also has a very significant tech and recreational economy. Often it's noted as the windsurfing capital of the world, but it's much more than that to all of us who aren't as athletic. And we really do surface on an underserved population that are our families that maintain, harvest, pack the fruit, and are in the service industry. So on the right there, you see one of my good friends, Evaristo Ramiro, who is a community health worker and former farm worker with one of our residents, Jessica Corral, harvesting the pear harvest, which we do with our residents all the time. But we also serve the Native American population in the gorge. Those are fish platforms that, due to the Columbia River Treaty, allow our Native American populations to dip net on the river. About 50% of our patients at One Community Health, which used to be La Clinica, but now it's called One Community Health, speak Spanish as their primary language. And again, we serve our Native American communities as well. The main barriers for our community are lack of transportation, language barriers, food and insecurity, and poverty that we have done a lot over the last, I would say, 30 years to try to address, but we're still working on. So this is just a brief little overview of our mission statement about who we are. I guess the main key thing I want to take out of this is that our goal is to train you to be well trained to serve the needs of rural underserved communities. And we practice and teach broad spectrum family medicine in an unopposed setting in a 25-bed critical access hospital and a health center that serves a very large Spanish-speaking populations. I'll mention learned helplessness. That's what we try to eliminate. That means you can do anything that you are well trained to do. Don't give up. And lastly, we strive for a sense of purpose, work-life balance, and teamwork, and the pursuit of pursuing family medicine and lifelong learning. And these are the people that we seek. So if you look at that list of qualities and you say, you know what, I'd be good here, this might be a great fit for you. We're not for everybody, but we really want people that really want to serve their community and become part of the community. It's not like a big city. You will be known throughout the community. You will be accepted. You will be considered a leader. And it's important that we want somebody that really wants to invest in our community. We are a 1-2 program, and I don't know if that was mentioned earlier, but the difference about a 1-2 program is that you spend the first year in an urban environment. Justin talked about the program that is our sister program in Portland, Milwaukee, where you serve and you learn in a research-rich urban center, and then you follow that training with a relationship-rich rural community. And we really believe that that model really provides a very comprehensive learning opportunity than you would get if you were training in either location. You know and learn about what it's like to be a rural doctor, but you have the background of those tools you need to take care of ill and sick patients. And the data is really important on this, that the initial study showed that you're actually 2 to 3 more times likely to practice in a rural area if you train there. But even better, the most recent data that came out in 21 from a study that was done through the through WWAMI and the Rural Health Research Network is that you're actually about 5 times more likely to practice in early and mid-rear in a rural practice. So we know that practicing in a rural area is really where if you train in a rural area, you're more likely to practice in a rural area. And I think that that's something that you have to consider in your training opportunities. So we've been around for 10 years. We have actually, it's kind of hard for me to believe this, but we have been a residency program for 10 years. I actually was on the faculty at Milwaukee. Before that, I was on the faculty in California, in Merced. So I've been in graduate medical education for 25 years or longer now, thinking about it. But, you know, we really asked ourselves, well, why do a rural training program in Hood River? And we identified some really important things. One, the docs in Hood River were strong primary care doctors, and we had specialists that wanted to see us there. We also had this relationship with a long-standing and valued FQHC, First La Clínica de Cariño, now One Community Health, that has lots of history of innovation from community health programs, dental programs, etc. We have great facilities. We're close enough to Portland to take advantage of them. And we have this wonderful relationship with the Providence, Oregon program, as Justin had elucidated already. So we are now in our 10th year. These are all the residents. You can kind of see where they're from. You'll get an opportunity to meet some of them later in the week. But the reality is about half of them have stayed locally and worked in a variety of settings, from being hospitalists, primary care doctors, doing full spoke family medicine. And it's been just great to see this happen. Justin mentioned the hospitals in the first year, so I'll not mention this, other than these are the buildings you'll work out of. But when you the one thing that's different about our program than other rural programs is that in your first year, you still come to Hood River, to One Community Health, to do your continuity practice. So there's a picture of Taylor and Paula, are now second years. One Community Health in Hood River is a designated training site. And so you start out in your first year still having seen those patients that you will take care of for the next 3 years. And that's one of the things that's different about our program. We provide support for you to do that. We reimburse your miles. And as you can watch the video on the website, but Jessica Worrell says, it's the most beautiful drive you will ever imagine. And that is true. Going down Highway 84 to go to your clinic is all really incredible. And there are waterfalls and beautiful forest as you drive out to do your continuity practice. And Justin did talk about the first year, so I'm not going to belabor this, but the first year is pretty much the same as the Milwaukee program with a couple of exceptions, and that the Hood River residents do a week of induction medicine and some medical Spanish to prepare themselves for that. And that we also continue with that continuity clinic at least one day each week for at least 42 weeks a year. But when you come to Hood River, you join the Hood River team. This is our recent float trip down the White Salmon, and all of our residents and faculty being part of that. One of the wonderful things about Hood River is you get to practice in the state-of-art hospital, which is on the left, and a beautiful, brand new community health center, which is pictured over there on the right. If you can't see, I'm wearing my Portland Timbers jacket, and right up there on the corner is Diego Chera and Alvis Powell from the Portland Timbers doing rounds with us in the hospital. That was pretty awesome that day. The second and third year of your residency, though, is where you move here, usually in the last month of your first year, and you become basically a community member and resident of Hood River and our county. And the focus is on our Family Health Center and the Critical Access Hospital, where you spend about 4 half days a week at one community health, doing all the things that are mentioned there in those bullet points. Not just in the clinic, but you go and do stuff out in the community, outreach in the orchards, packing houses, and native populations. You have a monthly hospital week that I'll go over. You do lots of prenatal care and deliveries of your own continuity patients. And we have a really robust didactics and academic sessions that includes CBL sessions, wellness, journal club, and our curriculum is organized in longitudinal rather than block rotations. So simply put, every month you'll have a full hospital week, Friday through Wednesday with 2 overnight calls. And we really do feel it's important for you to be able to practice in rural medicine. You have to be able to practice overnight call. You have to be able to come in the middle of the night and take care of your patients. And then you do a full day of clinic on Thursday, and then you get a golden weekend. And the rest of the month, you do longitudinal weeks that are broken up really brilliantly by my wonderful program coordinator, Liz Jex. On the website, you can learn a lot more about that. We have broken the year up into 4 quarters or cuartos in Espanol, and they kind of reflect these themes, but they all have different elements that are related to continuity and also special aspects of the curriculum, which allow some flexibility for curriculum that can be elective and also constructed to what your interests are. The hospital week is very innovative, I think, because the hospital really can function without you. So your function is to gain as much opportunity and experience in that hospital as possible. So the resident is really involved in every patient care area of the hospital. We're 25 beds. It's a blended family medicine, internal medicine hospitalist program. And you work very closely with social workers, physical therapists, pharmacists. And also during that week, you're also doing prenatal care. You're also doing deliveries, assisting in surgeries, going down the emergency room, placing a line or intubating a patient. You really get that whole experience of that whole hospital rather than being located only in one place. These are sort of a list of our diagnoses at one community health this year. COVID took number 2, which I am not so proud to say, but you can kind of see the bread and butter things you do in the clinic. And, you know, I will just say that one of the things about one community health that's just amazing, you know, I was a family doc here in 1987. I became the medical director there for about 5 years, and then I left, and I got to come back 10 years ago to help start this residency. But my goodness, this organization is amazing, and we are so lucky that Providence and One Community Health have formed this collaborative partnership to really get together to be able to serve the community, but also to have a training program. So like all community health centers, it's patient-centered. We are a level 5 patient-centered medical home. Our physician staff are our preceptors and co-workers, so you're learning alongside docs who've been doing rural family medicine with a really high risk and often underserved community. We have Epic EMR. You do lots of OB and peds and substance abuse and mental health. And now we've added this mobile medical unit. You can kind of see on the slide there, that little Winnebago, right? Well, that is called La Clinica in reference to our past. And that unit goes out every day to either a Native American fishing site or an orchard or a packing house. And residents go along there with the PA that staffs it and sees patients in those units. So it's a unique model. We have great behavioral health integration. We have 18 dental bays on site. So we provide great services to our community for dental care as well. And then I will just say that, you're in a small rural community. So what's the academics going to be like? Well, it's going to be awesome because we care about you. And we have small integrated sessions, whether that's outside on the garden, on Zoom. We have done a POCUS fellowship this past year where we've been learning about all the different aspects of that. We really utilize simulation, not just with the Milwaukee residents, but in our own community. There is a neonatal resuscitation program there, breastfeeding, and then of course our wilderness medicine program that's outlined by both one of our graduates, Matt Sperry, one of our ear docs, Dave Benziger, who's giving a talk on, and then a real life situation on Elk Rock Island. So our residents really get, I think, a very robust teaching experience in a rural program that I'm very, very proud of. And lastly, just to mention, one of the perks of going to Hood River, when Peter and Jared, who are our primary, very first residents, our pioneers, they said to me, well, they said, I really don't want a certificate. What I want when we graduate is a belt buckle. So all of our graduates get a belt buckle at the end of graduation. It says, congratulations, you're a Providence Hood River Family Medicine resident from that year. So and you have to wear that if you come to graduation. So final thoughts is that we are really excited that you are interested in our program. We look forward to seeing you later in the week. We are really focused on training to become a confident, competent, broad spectrum family medicine rural provider. We have a social justice emphasis. We work with the Latinx Spanish speaking population. And our program is a bit different in that we are personalized, supportive. We provide advocacy. We support wellness and lifelong learning. So you can apply for us on ARIS under Province Oregon Hood River Rural Training Program. We are a separate match number than the Province Oregon Rural Residency in Milwaukee. And you can come to our open house this week on Wednesday. And oops, I didn't put the word in, but I believe it's Wednesday and Saturday. Yes, we get the Saturday early morning one. Sorry, Paula. And I'll turn it over back to Louise. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gobo. That was wonderful. Now, I guess we can open it up to questions. If anybody has questions about the different sessions that they've seen this evening.
I think it might be a little too late in the evening now. So I will sign off for you guys, and I hope to see you sooner. I have to drive back to Hood River. I'm actually somewhere in the middle of Oregon. So it was wonderful to meet you all and see your faces, and look forward to seeing you again later in the week. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Gobo. Safe driving. Well, if we don't have any questions, let's look in the chat. If we don't have any questions, then I guess we could end early this evening.
Hey, Louise, I can answer the question for Hood River that they do provide some training for folks that aren't Spanish speaking. I think it's preferred. It makes life a lot easier, but.
Thank you. I'm just going through the chat to see if there are any other questions. The other thing that I want to say is that this session was being recorded. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. But we do record this session throughout the week. The sessions, the educational sessions will be recorded. However, it's up to the individual residencies about whether or not they want to record their sessions. That's entirely up to them. So with that, I think I'll say good night. Unless, would Joyce like to say something else?
Just thank you. Thanks, Louise, and thank you to everyone. I think it'll be great to see everyone at the sessions.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.